Welcome to the Bear Talk, your go-to Chicago Bears podcast, where a father and son break down all things Bears, from Soldier Field to Sunday showdowns. I'm your host here, Dylan Weaver, and as always, joined here by my dad. How you doing, Dad?
I'm doing great. I know it's June, but it feels like Christmas with that cover of Madden Edition.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like Christmas, especially as a Bears fan. We'll just hop right into it. Obviously, a big talking point this week for the Bears was earlier this week, Caleb Williams got announced officially as the Madden cover for Madden 27. There was some rumors last week and some leaked images that it was him. Don't always want to believe those because, people will put those out there for likes and engagement all over social media. But it comes to fruition. Caleb Williams is officially the Madden cover. He is actually currently at Navy Pier with Odunze doing the whole EA Madden release party. I saw some pretty cool videos. He's out there. It looks like him and Rome are going to be on Cam Newton's podcast as well because Cam Newton's there with his whole set. He was just on the Kelsey's podcast, New Heights podcast this week as well. We knew he was going to be a superstar. At least I did. I tried to tell you. And with last season, now the Madden cover, getting the national spotlight, 7 primetime games going into this year. This guy's a superstar, man, and it's all well-deserved, but maybe give your thoughts. I know it's a big controversy on Twitter right now and social media. If Caleb Williams actually did deserve to be the Madden cover, what are some of your thoughts after, it being official with him being the Madden cover?
First off, it's just cool that he is on the Madden cover, right? I think it's the first Bears player ever to be on the Madden cover, which is really, really cool. Does he deserve it? I don't know. Everything deserve is subjective, right, to opinions. Some people could have said it could have been, Jackson Smith-Njigba out of Seattle, just based on his season last year. You look at Matt Stafford and the season he had last year. There's a lot of different players out there, but again, it comes down to, I think, what's the future of the league, and I think Caleb Williams is one of those players who's the future of the NFL. So I think it's perfectly fine. The first thing when you sent me the message that he was on the cover, at first I thought it was a joke, but I know you pretty much you fish out any of those scam posts or just trolls and stuff like that. But then I started going to, oh my goodness, does that mean he's going to get injured, right? Because there's like this Madden curse that I think all of us, my age at least, believe in. And then I started doing some research of my own, and Peyton Hillis, which is the last one I really remember as being a curse. Phenomenal running back, but unfortunately, ended up getting staph infection, plagued with injuries that year. But you look at the other players, beyond that, there's been a lot of great players who've been on there, had some successful seasons, Super Bowl runs, high passing yards. Some people could say Saquon Barkley was a curse kind of, but he was used a boatload the year before, so naturally it's going to go down, and our defenses are going to figure that out. So I'm excited. Everything about Caleb's exciting. You look at his history, you look at his life, you look at, his career at Oklahoma, going to USC, that career, winning the Heisman. Obviously, if there's any curse I've always been afraid of, is the Heisman curse, because there's been a lot of Heisman winners who typically don't pan out to be that great. But last year, I think he showed us that, right? He is a baller, and I think he's going to be one of the great ones when it's all said and done. And this is just, another brick in the path.
Going into year 3.
Yeah.
Think about it. 2 years. The thing that blows my mind is when you really put it into perspective, not that I think he had a bad rookie year, but that's the way the media painted it because of the Bears record, which fair. Caleb plays a huge part in that record, but at the end of the day, it is a team game. But just to see how down most of the media was on Caleb after his rookie year, Ben Johnson comes in here, not only turns, Caleb Williams around, but also turns the Bears franchise around where the Bears are actually a relevant, respectable team in the NFL. So from that part, I think it's really cool to see. And like you said, first Bears player ever to be on a cover. Who would have thought, eventually probably there would be a Bears player on the cover, but did we ever think it was going to be a quarterback? I mean, that's the craziest part. When you want to talk about curses, the curse that scared me the most was the curse of never getting a quarterback with the Chicago Bears that you're just full confident in. And he was able to overcome that. Granted, he wasn't able to break that 4,000-yard season last year. He finished about 40 yards shy, but when you count in all those drops of the receivers, some of the missed passes by him as well, but he has a bright future. And like I said, that's just after 2 years. I mean, you're talking about a lot of great accomplishments, especially with the rough start in his rookie year. The come from behind wins last year. And that's what I think it ultimately boils it down to when you ultimately ask the question, did he deserve to be the Madden cover? And like you said, I do think Jackson Smith-Njigba, coming off Offensive Player of the Year, Super Bowl champion, I definitely could have seen him getting the cover as well. But you also got to remember from a marketing standpoint, this is EA. If you're not a Bears fan and you don't answer this question truthfully, but Caleb Williams was must-watch television come late back half of the season. And not only that in the season, but when it came to the big-time games where it's do or die, he was there. Everyone was tweeting about his throws, the comeback against Green Bay down 21-3 at halftime. You talk about that 4th and 7 play, game on the line, season on the line to Cole Kmet. He starts running backwards. Everyone's like, what in the world is he doing? And Caleb Williams is like, just calm down. This is what I've always done. He is the Iceman. And
here's the real question. You can say everything you want to say about him. When's the last time you bought a Madden game?
I had the game last year. I've bought the past couple.
Did you buy it last year?
Yeah.
I haven't bought a Madden game since you were probably 10 years old. And we would play in the basement. So they did their job, because guess what? I'm going to go out and buy a freaking Madden game this year.
Yeah,
one to play, but two cover.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm definitely going to buy the hard copy. I usually, with nowadays, I just buy it digitally. I am a PC guy, so I play controller, but I just buy the games digitally. But this one, I will definitely be going to my local GameStop like the good old days, purchasing both the deluxe and the standard edition to get both copies. That's the one thing maybe that is a little weird. I think the standard edition is the worst one, but that deluxe edition where he's got his hands up on his arms doing his Iceman celebration. And I like too how, there's a big controversy with, Caleb Williams painting his fingernails in that cover. They got his nails painted with the Chicago logo on it. A bunch of cool Chicago designs on his nails. And I mean, dude, it's just super cool to see. I mean, it honestly feels like, last year, the whole season felt like we were living in a dream, just with how many come from behind wins that he pulled off of putting the team on his back, all the ridiculous throws. And now this, it's honestly unbelievable to, just see a Bears player on a Madden cover for how bad it's been the majority of my life of being a Bears fan. But to finally see, some positives start to come around and, really, it just all relates back to just the Bears organization in general finally turning the leaf over, it seems, and being on the right side of things. We are one of the storied franchises that started the whole NFL, and for a while it was just doom and gloom. And having a player like Caleb and a coach like Ben Johnson, it just seems like it's finally going in the right direction. But definitely wanted to give Caleb his flowers on the Madden cover because it's just super cool in my opinion. And like I said, I think it is deserved. The guy was must-watch television. And from EA, like I was saying, it's just a great marketing for them. Their job is to sell copies of the game. And Caleb Williams, like I said, he was must-watch. Whether you want to admit it or not, he was must-watch. Whether you were a hater watching to hate on him, hoping he fails, or watching because you know how ridiculous he is and he can make one of those plays at any given moment in a game. He was must watch. And for that reason, I do think it's deserved. And if you do want to go down the whole, I got in some debates with some of my buddies. Obviously, they're Green Bay fans. They're salty like they always are. But we got in some debates about, because usually even if you don't have the words, you're like a top position. You're like top at your position. And my argument to that is I do think Caleb has plenty of traits where he is at the top, and very few quarterbacks can do what he does. I also do think there's still stuff with his completion percentage, stuff along those lines that he still needs to work on and can improve on. But when you talk about arm strength, there's probably about 2 quarterbacks in the league that can make throws that Caleb's making. That's probably Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And that's just the truth. That's not even coming from me. That comes from NFL analysts, people that study the game, former NFL quarterbacks, his elusiveness in the pocket. We saw it last year on full display. He avoided the most sacks by any quarterback last year. And the next closest person was Josh Allen, and he had like half the amount of avoided sacks that Caleb had. The guy is just elusive. He's a playmaker. And then probably his best trait, in my opinion, is his clutch factor. I mean, you saw it in college. He was clutch, and you saw it last year. Most game-winning drives under 2 minutes in the NFL was 7 last year. The guy is absolute nails. And then he literally had a come-from-behind win, 21-3, second largest in playoff history in the NFL. And then he literally almost did his magic again in the divisional game. Like, they were a play away from literally being in the championship game to play for the Super Bowl. So
they were one route away.
Yeah, one hard route run by DJ Moore away. But you know what? End of the day, everything's on the positive side. And like I said, I just wanted to give Caleb his flowers. You know, I'm definitely always on his side. It took you a little bit to come around, but I mean, this guy is just magic, man. He's absolute magic.
He's definitely working the game in his favor, so to speak, right? Between, just the way he's panned everything out, and now the marketing piece to be a Madden. It's one thing, right, for every NFL player to be like, hey, or not even NFL player, just football player, right? I want to make it to college. And then once you go to college, hey, I'd like to make it to the show, get to the show. Then I'd like to, get to the playoffs, win a Super Bowl game. But I think deep down inside of every NFL player, right, is I'd like to be on the cover of Madden, just because of the nostalgia for me of Madden as a kid, growing up with it, and having John Madden always being on the cover and always buying it, and playing against my brother or friends or you as a kid, and so now he's whether he wins a Super Bowl or not, he's immortal, right? I mean, you're on the cover of Madden. I mean. Everyone plays Madden.
It's definitely a huge accomplishment. And like you said, football fan, sports fan, everyone back in the day grew up playing Madden. Now there's some arguments about if Madden is still a good game. That's up for debate. But at the end of the day, it is still Madden at the end of the day. And being on a cover, I mean, there's very few people that get put on the cover of Madden. And it just shows more to like your point of what the NFL and I mean, obviously EA gets the ultimate choosing, but it just shows what they think of Caleb Williams. For a while it was us Bears fans spewing, how good he is. And it took a lot of people to come around, which was granted. He needed to show it. But after last season, you're finally starting to see a lot of people come around. People even have him in these quarterback rankings going to the next season as far as top 3 in the NFL. Seen some people have him at number 2 on the list. But it's coming around, and the NFL and EA are telling you what they think of Caleb Williams. Like you said, the future. He is the future of the league, and that's what I think just makes him so special. He still has so much to improve, and he's already doing this. Like, what he's doing right now isn't even his best, and these are what quarterbacks dream of when they get to NFL, to just do this. And this is probably half of his actual ceiling of what it could be, which is the scary part when you think of it.
Slow down there, buddy.
Let's just
see how this season unfolds, right?
I mean, you get to be all 15-2, and I can't come over here and be on the Caleb Williams hype train and keep leading this thing.
No, absolutely be on the hype train. I think he, he's having success. I'm not going to poo-poo on that, but let's see what happens this year, right? We know the first year, the Eberflus year, rough season, not a very good supporting cast. Year 2, Ben Johnson. He's got a supporting cast, got some more pieces around. He's got a line. Let's see what happens in year 3. There's still some controversy about the draft and how that unfolded. Let's just see what happens. Now, here's what I think is going to happen, right? I think quite honestly, he's going into year 3, which is really for him, it's year 2, right? He's got the same coach. He's got the same offense, majority of the same players around him. Got some new weapons. The defense, I think, in my opinion, got better with some of the offseason acquisitions as well as the draft. Year 3 could be special. And not to mention, I think the NFL thinks it's going to be special because if you've tried looking for a game ticket to go watch this guy play or the team play,
it's expensive. It doesn't even matter if it's the Bears stadium. It's any stadium. Yeah.
Arm and a leg you got to give up to go watch the Bears play this year. Any stadium you look at, any market you go to, it is expensive. So, we'll see what happens.
But yeah, let's transition on over. But like I said, just wanted to show love to Caleb Williams. Just another reason for more haters to be mad. But let's transition on over. This was the second week of OTAs for the Chicago Bears. This is where, the whole team is at practice. Sometimes pads, mostly those shorts and jersey and helmet, just out there moving around, 7-on-7, a little 11-on-11 at times as well. Really just finally starting to get back in the swing of things, kind of all football related. And it's just awesome to see. It's getting closer. We're still a little bit away from the actual season being there, but it's starting to turn the corner and we're almost there. But OTAs were definitely interesting this week. A lot of stuff we can talk about. I'll start off first with a big one in Odunze. This week, he finally got to talk in front of the podium. Obviously, last year dealt with that foot injury most of the season. Finally was able to get some media clarification, which some of it was scary. He was asked about if he's back to 100%, and he didn't really say yes, and he didn't really say no. He kind of talked a little bit about this essentially a new foot in quotations. It's a different feel, and it's never really going to get back to the same. But by the looks of it, though, too, the media that have access to these practices, they're access right now to one practice a week. They were just there again on Tuesday for this week, and they said Rome literally looks like he did week 1 last year when he was just catching a bunch of balls. Because you got to remember, before Rome had that injury, he was top 5 in every receiving category, and then that injury kind of slowed him down. So the good news of that is the ball's getting slinged to him a bunch. He's running great routes. He's beating people in coverage. They're saying he looked 100%, which is why the question was brought up. But then Rome, like I said, the way he answered it, he didn't say yes or no. He kind of talked about this new foot and it feels different, and the way he's having to play. But if he looks good, that's good. But it is a little concerning because you got to think about it. He just had a bunch of time in the offseason to heal. And as time keeps adding up of putting pressure on it, you never know. It could easily be tweaked. And with foot bones as well, you have so many bones in your foot and ligaments that have your whole body weight on them. And especially as a receiver with cuts and in breaks and stuff like that, just over time, will it keep getting more sore and sore where he can start to feel it more? But he says he feels good. There's been plenty of receivers that dealt with foot injuries, but it is a little scary. Top 10 pick for the Bears going into a big year for him. But it was definitely a big talking point this week with Rome Odunze. What are some of your thoughts hearing some of that?
I mean, I'm not scared. I watched the Luther Burden YouTube video where they're out of USC. Caleb's throwing the rock. You got Colston there. You got Luther there. And then what do you know? Here comes Rome. He looked pretty good. So it may feel like a new foot because he played on an injured foot for half the year last year. So it may feel new because it feels like a brand new foot and he feels good. And I think maybe he's just downplaying a little bit. if he's running routes and catching balls like he did in that USC workout, I have no concerns. Now, there's some other players that concerns about, and I'm sure you're going to talk about them, but for Rome and Luther, Colston, Cole Kmet, zero concerns. I feel good.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to bring it up because, like I said, it is a little worrisome. He is, I mean, as much as, I am, it's bittersweet. I am happy and sad DJ Moore is gone because, like you said, you just named all the young weapons we do have, and it kind of took away from some of them last year. But Rome is definitely he's the kind of the leader in that room. I mean, you got Khalif Raymond that they brought over from the Lions that knows a Ben Johnson system and is a veteran in the NFL. So he's a little bit lead by example, but Rome is going to be that leader in that locker room for that receiver group. So, and we definitely do need him on the field. It can't be like last year where he's missing. I mean, he literally missed like 6-7 weeks last year, pretty much up until the playoffs. So we are going to need him, but just wanted to bring it up. And I think I know where you're wanting to talk about with some worrisome players. Last week, during the first week of OTAs, there was some talks about Jalen Johnson not yet being there, and then as well of Kyler Gordon dealing with another soft tissue injury. I will say, however, though, this is week 2 of OTAs. Kyler Gordon is back. He's out there with the team. Jalen Johnson is practicing 100%. I think the concerning part, though, is some of the quotes that came out of Ben Johnson's mouth this week when asked about specifically Kyler Gordon. He talked a little bit about their exit meeting. For those fans out there that don't really know what those are, at the end of the season, the coach meets one-on-one with pretty much every player on the team, and they talk about, the whole season and then the plans going forward. And the big talking point, or the big point that Ben Johnson brought up is, yeah, we know he's a great player, but he played 3 games. And for our coaching staff, we need availability to be able to trust you. So Ben Johnson, as always, not scared like previous coaches to voice his opinion when he is asked questions up at that podium. And I think it's warranted, man. Kyler Gordon, Ben Johnson put it perfectly. He said when he's a great player when he's out there, but I haven't seen much of him. And it sounds a little bit too. Ben Johnson also said, I don't really know him that well because he's not around. Like when he's hurt, he's doing a bunch of rehab. He's not out there with the team because he's rehabbing. So it's definitely a huge thing for Kyler Gordon.
Best ability is availability.
100%. But it's just Kyler Gordon needs to really lock in this offseason and make sure going into the season his body's 100% because like we all know, he's a great player. Like he is an outstanding player when he's out there, but kind of like what the Packers just did today with signing Christian Watson. He's played 4 seasons and he's already missed 20 NFL games. Like Kyler Gordon is going down that path if he can't get this stuff together. So it was definitely alarming, especially hearing week 1, he wasn't even spotted out there because he was dealing with that soft tissue injury. I will say, though, week 2, it's positive. He was out there, did some team stuff, but not 100% like the whole time. So it's trending in the right direction. And another player too, one of your guys, I know you do like him on the defense, Tyreek Stevenson. He was up at the podium this week as well. And he voiced that same message about being available to the coaching staff. He's like, I got to be available for them. Last year he was available, but he dealt with some injuries. And then on top of that, there were some rumors, he wasn't doing things the right way, that they wanted things done. It's a big year for him as well, and we're going to need Tyreek Stevenson. Nashawn Wright got traded to the Jets. You've got Terrell Smith still, but he's coming off a big ACL injury. So it's going to be tricky, but it's a big year for Tyreek Stevenson and a big year for Kyler Gordon, in my opinion, for Kyler to be healthy, and 2, for Tyreek Stevenson to show he can be out there as a starter alongside Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson, like I hinted at a little bit in the beginning of him not being there granted, it isn't mandatory, but he wasn't there before OTAs. He was back for OTAs though. And the reports are from a bunch of insiders that do, like I said, go to these practices. Jalen Johnson, they say, looks really good. Last year, as we know, he was still fighting through playing in that injury. And he really wasn't, you could just tell it wasn't the Jalen Johnson, I'm going to lock down their best receiver and you're not really going to have to worry about him. But they said him and Rome have been going at it in practice, getting their fair share of plays. Rome's making plays. Jalen Johnson's making plays. So you love to hear that. Jalen Johnson seems like he's trending in the right direction, but it's also another big season for Jalen Johnson. His contract's up after this, and the Bears can cut him and save money.
Yep.
And I love Jalen Johnson. The guy's an absolute baller, and he's been here like Cole Kmet. He's been here through all the lows and all the highs. So Jalen Johnson, I think it's a little bit more motivating for him to make sure he's out on that field with his teammates and 100% just to see what the Bears did last season, making the first playoff since in 5 years, and then also the first playoff win in 15 years. So Jalen Johnson is a huge part of our defense, and we're going to need him out there. So it was a little concerning to hear he didn't go to the mandatory, or not mandatory, but the mini camp prior. But he is kind of a veteran, but at the same time, it is kind of like, it's like anything in life with a job. If there's an event, you should probably go to it, even if it's not required. It just looks good. It's the right thing to do. And especially when you are a veteran, you're supposed to be a leader for the new guys. And when you get away, when you don't do stuff like that, you're setting an example for people down the line that, hey, it's okay to do it. But with the Ben Johnson coaching staff, I'm sure it was made pretty, obvious that that's not tolerable and not allowed. Because he was asked about that on the podium a couple weeks ago. And, he said he wished he was there. So it was a little concerning, but glad he's back with OTAs. I know too, though, he did just get married. He did have another kid as well right before the camp, but still, you're a veteran, man. You got to lead by example.
Plan your wedding. You know what OTAs are. Plan your wedding accordingly is all I got to say, right? I mean, just come on. Yeah, last year you missed 10 games. Get with the program, buddy.
Yeah. But some other news out of OTAs this week. Week 1, Dylan Thieneman was playing with the second team, which I think it's more of they're making him earn that starting role next to Kobe Bryant. Week 2, he was in a rotation, finally getting some first-team reps. I think it's obviously his position. He's going to be the starter. But I do like how Dennis Allen's working him up and making him earn it, not just giving it to a rookie. But on the flip side, on the offensive ball, I'm forgetting his name already, which is kind of bizarre. Who's the receiver we took again? What was his name? Out of LSU, the speedy guy,
Tavion.
What's his name though?
Oh, geez, let me look it up.
I'm having a brain fart at the moment. What is his name? Out of LSU.
This is bad.
Why are we drawing a blank?
Bad.
What is
Xavier Thomas.
Okay, there we go. Xavier Thomas, though, on the other hand, is getting first-team reps with the offense and he's already making impact. If you're a Bears fan out there and you follow the Chicago Bears media account, just go scroll it for a little bit. You'll see plenty of highlights of him catching balls in practice from Caleb, absolutely smoking people, which was a big reason he got drafted with his speed. Just straight go routes, absolutely torching people, great hands. It's interesting to see, though, like with the Dylan Thieneman thing, they're kind of making him earn his way. For Xavier Thomas, though, let's throw you right in the fire. And
maybe he's earned it.
Well, this is the thing that makes me – it's a little weird because if you remember last year, even Colston Loveland and Luther Burden, they both started on the second team and had to work their way up. Apparently, that first week of OTAs last week, people said Xavier Thomas got plenty of first team reps, and that's even with them bringing in Khalif Raymond from Detroit. They obviously signed Scotty Miller, another veteran out there, but he's jumping spots, getting to play with the first team. Granted, it's not like he's always out there, but he's getting reps, which is very notable. Same with Sam Roush at tight end. He's getting in there, getting first team reps. I mean, Ben Johnson
got to play with the toys.
I was about to say, he's got plenty of toys, and Caleb has plenty of options. And by the sounds of it, too, Everyone's getting the love. The ball's getting passed around to pretty much everybody. Colston Loveland's getting his catches. Luther Burns getting his catches. Rome Odunze's getting his catches. Xavier Thomas. I mean,
is it like Gopher Winfrey?
I mean,
you get a catch. You get a catch. You get a catch.
You just love to see it if you're a Bears fan because, you know, in previous years, you know, it's always like you see one guy getting a majority of the catches or the targets. And when you see the ball spread out like that, it's literally like pick your poison. Who do you want to guard? Okay, we're going to go to this guy. We'll go attack this matchup. So
makes it tough for those defenses.
Tough for the defenses, and it's also quarterback friendly. It gives Caleb plenty of options to find somebody to get the ball to. And then on top of it, hey, if no one's open, okay, Caleb, go do your scramble drill, go do your magic, what you do best. And
I got to say one thing.
Okay.
And I know it looked cool. I know it was great social media content.
Oh my, don't even get in here with this hater crap. I know
I'm not hating. I'm not hating.
All right, come on.
But it's 7-on-7 drills. It's no pads, right?
Well, that's where you're wrong. That's where you're a normal fan. It was 11-on-11. The Bears hold on. The Bears just zoom it in because they don't want to show the other teams the plays that they're running.
Okay.
But the media did clarify that was there. It's 11-on-11, full coverage.
Can I finish my point?
Yeah, go ahead.
7-on-7, 2-on-2, 11-on-11. It doesn't matter. There's no pads. Why are you going to roll out and do the jump man in practice?
Well, and see, this is where you're being a casual once again. There was pressure. There's still a D-line and an O-line. And hold on. Let me finish. The D-line, the video is super zoomed in. They do it on every highlight video because they don't want to show information to other teams. But from the media, Austin Booker, another guy we talked about who needs to have a big season. He got off the edge, beat Braxton Jones, and was chasing Caleb Williams, which is why he's rolling out to his right. The media clarified that. Oh, and by the way, too, I get it. It's OTAs, blah, blah, blah. That was 67 yards with a flick of a wrist confirmed by Case Keenum, QB3, that was at the practice. Oh, and by the way, too, I get it. It's OTAs. It would be like that. It's a fine statement to say if we haven't seen Caleb do this. You can say, oh, the pads aren't on. We've seen Caleb Williams do that exact play in a game.
I know, but
it's a little bit different. I would understand. Okay, but I would understand you're okay, let's take a second and relax. There's no pads, all that stuff. If this was Caleb's rookie year before he played an actual game. We've seen Caleb do this exact stuff with full pads on, live hitting, live blocking in a game. That exact stuff.
All right. Hey, calm down. We all know you love them.
I'm just saying.
Defend them. I'm just saying it's OTAs. You shouldn't have to be doing that.
Well, you're practicing. It's 11-on-11. You're trying to practice like it's a game. This isn't Matt Eberflus anymore, Dad. We're OTAs, guys. Let's just get out here, get loose, and hit some passes. No, this is Ben Johnson.
Okay.
This OTA is like a Super Bowl. That's how they practice.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, I'm here to back him up because there's plenty of people out there, believe me. Oh, why is he rolling out? Why can't he just stay in the pocket? Blah, blah, blah. Well, there's reasons. And you guys are just talking out of context without doing your research. That's all it comes down to.
Okay.
But
I'm just saying.
I get it. But when he makes that same throw week one, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's cool.
It's cool. Game with a pass heavy, pass rush heavy defense coming at you, and you got to scramble and you got to make something happen. I get it. Plays break down. It's OTAs. Save that stuff for the circus. We don't need it in the OTAs. But
that goes back to the other thing. You need to practice that. That is what Caleb, that's called scramble drill. You need to practice plays like that are broken. That was a main emphasis last year that Ben Johnson talked about, that they didn't put much attention to the scramble drill. That is part of Caleb Williams' games. And that's how.
All right.
I'm just saying that as a former.
Chat.
Okay.
Viewers, as you're watching, press A or put in A if you think he needs to be Jumpman Jordan in there during OTAs. Or B, Just throw it away. Play another game.
I'm just saying
OTAs.
as a former athlete, you practice how you play. You don't go in there and okay, it's OTA, so I can just throw the ball away. No, you practice like it's a game. And if you're not, you're doing it wrong. So that's just flat out the truth.
I'm just saying.
And if you remember early on in the season last year, Caleb was scrambling and the receivers weren't doing their job and they weren't connecting on the scramble drill.
Yeah.
This is why you practice this stuff.
Okay. Maybe Ben Johnson said scramble drill, roll out, jump man it. That was the play. I get it. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe that was the practice. But if it's just improvised during OTAs, come on. It's just OTAs.
I'd understand your point 100%. If it was 7-on-7s, get the ball out. There's no pass rush. Find your guy. There's no need to roll out, but it is 11-on-11. You have a pass rush. You have people coming out. Yeah, they can't hit Caleb. Even if they had pads on, they can't hit him. But there's still a live pass rush coming at him like a game. And he's hitting his guy and making the right play.
You're going to defend him regardless. Let's move on. Next subject.
I'm just saying. Other than that, though, I'm trying to think if there's any other OTA news I wanted to talk about. Obviously, too, a big emphasis that the defense specifically is focusing on this year is, especially in the beginning, is a lot more technique, especially when it comes to the D-line. It's a big emphasis. They're going to focus on technique more than scheme off the bat, because obviously you need the technique right first before you can. If you don't have the technique right, you can't execute a scheme the right way. So they're going back to the basics, hand placement, bunch of fundamental stuff, because it was a big emphasis of what Dennis Allen and Ben Johnson said that, they were so emphasized in the first year of, getting their scheme out there, making sure the players know what they're doing. And they kind of skipped over the basic step of just making sure, you're doing the basics right. Kind of same thing with the receivers. Antoine Randall talked about it too with, a bunch of drops last year. They're going back to the fundamentals, look the ball in, tuck, all this stuff. The basics, essentially. They're making a heavy emphasis on it in OTAs, which I think is important too.
Are they making an emphasis on not catching the ball with your body? Seen a lot of those highlight reels too, where someone's catching the ball with their body.
And if you want to go back to that play, because I know that's what you're talking about, because I will admit Rome Odunze does have. It was more so DJ Moore last year.
That must be his jump man.
But listen, Rome Odunze does have that problem too, where he does catch a ball with his body. Hint, the Rams game, that opening possession, he tried to catch the ball with his body, went right through his arms, would have been a touchdown.
Did his dad tweet after that?
He might have. But I will say, in that 67-yard pass, on those deeper routes, receivers are taught it's called late hands. You don't. Listen, we can get experts in here if you want, but it is called the late hands on deep balls. The reason you don't catch with your hands on deep balls for the majority of time is because literally, if you put your hands up, 9 times out of 10 on those goal balls, cornerbacks are chasing you. And if you put your hands up, you're giving the DB the indication that the ball is coming, and it gives them time, one, to realize, oh shit, the ball's getting thrown at my player that I'm guarding. Let me hurry up. And then two, let me put my hands up and swipe down on your hands. It's called late hands because the DB doesn't know the ball's coming. So on that specific play, that was correct of what Rome did.
Could he do semi-late hands where he still catches it, but not like first, but maybe it's mid hands?
It just depends on the ball. Like if it's a jump ball, yes, you should be going up late hand still and catching with your hands on a jump ball. That ball, however, was in perfect stride. You don't put your hands up because it would have given the DB the recognition, hey, the ball's coming here, because you have to think as a DB, just think logically. Your head's turned away from the ball. You're running after your player trying to guard him. If they're not signaling that, making any indication that the ball's coming to them, they're not going to hurry up or make an effort. They're just going to keep running the same speed and the same speed that they're running to get there or to guard you. But when you do the late hands,
the drop balls we had last year.
I agree.
They prevented Caleb from getting over 4,000 yards in maybe we need to change the drill to not lay hands.
Yeah, well, Antoine Randall is working on it. Like I said, big emphasis on the fundamentals in these OTAs before they get into training camp, especially now because most players, it's the same scheme going into year 2. You have the same coordinators. Obviously, Ben Johnson calls the plays for the offense, so it's the same scheme there. And on the defense with Dennis Allen, it's the same scheme. So most of the players know the scheme, so they're trying to harp down on the fundamentals. So that way later on, when you install the scheme and what you're going to be running, obviously you need those fundamentals to do that. It's kind of like you don't just jump on a bike with no training wheels for the first time when you're a little kid.
I never had training wheels.
All right, well.
My dad put me on the bike, pushed me down a hill, and if I fell, I fell. And I got back up and I did it again. No training wheels.
But anyways, you get the point. They're going to the fundamentals, which you do like to hear, because obviously whatever they did last year, especially it's more an emphasis on the D-line, but whatever they did last year didn't really work. So going back to the basics is definitely a huge part. One last player I do want to talk about too, who had a pretty disappointing season for the expectations coming in, was Grady Jarrett last year, who he brought over from the Falcons. He talked with the media too, and I just love his energy. I think literally word for word, he said, I owe Chicago a season. Like, he understands, he let, his team and the city down because of the expectations of him coming in. He was on and off with that knee injury. And then towards the end of the season, you started to see him really get to that full, Grady Jarrett that the NFL knows him to be, probably a former or in the future going to be a Hall of Famer without a doubt. The guy's insane, but I thought it was just really cool with his attitude, just saying it straight up how it is. I owe Chicago a season. He understands last year he didn't play up to his ability, but he's also at training camp and OTAs right now with no knee brace on. He wore that knee brace all last year during practices. He said he feels really good. And, sometimes players just say that to say it, but when you also can back it up with that knee brace isn't on anymore and he's out there doing his thing, just good to hear. I thought it was cool. I really loved Grady Jarrett when we signed him last year and thought he was going to be a big impact. And we're definitely going to need him. No more Andrew Billings, who was a huge part of run stopping, as bad as our run stopping defense was. So Grady Jarrett's definitely going to have to step up and have a better season this year, especially with the money we're paying him. But in all reality, it's the whole D-line as a whole. They need to step up and assert their dominance this year, especially with them not getting a pass rusher in the draft. And then on top of it, you're not getting a Max Crosby or, in the Rams' sake, a Myles Garrett,
or Jared Verse, or
Since we're talking about,
we got nobody.
Since we're talking about OTAs week 2, let's talk about that a little bit, because honestly, I even as a Bears fan, it feels like this is the Rams Super Bowl. If they stay healthy, good luck. It's honestly, let's just wait till 2027. But obviously, I'll still be cheering on the Bears and hoping for the best. But that trade that went down this week with Myles Garrett going over to the Rams, I mean, it's GG's. You got the former defending pass rusher on your team. You got the former MVP of the NFL on offense. And people are forgetting, too, with this whole Myles Garrett thing, they also got Trent McDuffie from the Chiefs, one of the best cornerbacks in the league.
Yeah.
Their D-line is going to be terrifying. And then on top of it, like I said, you have Devontae Adams, you have Puka Nacua, you have Kyron Williams, you have Matt Stafford. They also were the team that ran 13 personnel the most and were the most efficient out of it. They got a bunch of tight ends. I mean, the Rams are scary. That trade was insane. But I will say, for Myles Garrett's sake, I will say this. I do like to see players who are really good get a chance to go play on some of these better teams that have played on bad teams. Like Myles Garrett has played on Cleveland his whole career. And
do you think when he woke up that morning and he heard the news, right, obviously the agents and all that stuff got to do their things in the background, but do you think he breathed a sigh of relief? Like,
yeah, I mean,
I'm off the Browns.
I mean, at the end of the day, players like him are already making life-changing money. So
they want to win.
At the end of the day, like I said, they're set for life. But these are athletes at the highest level. If you don't think they want to win, you're smoking crack.
No, they absolutely.
Just like Jared Verse, the call that Jared Verse got, he's probably like, oh, great. Here we go.
I think he started crying.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. Like, it's a little bit different. He got to be a part of a winning team, and now he's going to the other side. But at the same time, he probably thinks he's getting screwed over because the Rams were right there. They were one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl. He sees all the offseason additions they make.
Gets excited.
Trending in the right direction. And then all of a sudden, oh, actually, we're trading you for Myles Garrett. You're going to the Cleveland Browns. Pack your bags, buddy. Clean out your locker.
By the way, we don't like anyone named Jared on our team. See you later.
And that's where it's tough, but it is, at the end of the day, it's a business. These players know that. And at the end of the day, like I said, people like Jared Verse, these elite edge rushers, they're making a bunch of money. So at the end of the day, they're set, but they still do want to win. But like to my point, it is cool to see people like that are elite players at their position and finally get to go to good organizations and get the chance to play for that Super Bowl. Another player that sticks out that he probably feels even worse is Max Crosby. I mean, he's going to the Ravens. Granted, didn't have the best year last year, but they're always a playoff team. And here he goes to the Ravens. And then, oh, by the way, actually, we're sending you back because your physical wasn't good enough. So talk about a roller coaster of emotions for Max Crosby from absolute low to absolute high, back to absolute low. Like, I mean, stuff like that. I just feel for players that are like that, elite at their position, and just don't really get the opportunity to shine.
He's got Kirk Cousins and he's got Fernando
Mendoza.
He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. And Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers.
In for another rough year, but it just sucks when you see players like that don't get to really play for those Super Bowls. I mean, yeah, they still get to play for it, but by week 4, you already know the Raiders are done. So you get to play for it for a little bit and live in a false reality, and then all of a sudden you come back to actual reality and you're like, oh, I'm on the Las Vegas Raiders. We're not doing shit. Let's pack it up and hopefully next season's the season. But
hey, they got a cool stadium.
They do got a cool stadium.
We don't have a cool stadium.
I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I do have a segment set up. This stuff is starting to drive me up a wall.
I'm doing good with the segues into these. Look, I mean, I've hit all 3 of them tonight.
I mean, you have. You're right on the money. But
and I didn't even know what your agenda was this evening.
Yeah, this Bears Stadium stuff, I'm going to be honest, it's starting to get nauseating for me. I actually was really intrigued in this for a long time. But with all the bull crap that's going on, it's honestly starting to drive me up a wall. And even worse, just when you thought the stadium talk couldn't get even worse, you got the mayor of Chicago on 670 The Score yesterday talking about, yeah, I actually was at the playoff game and I left because the Bears were losing and I wanted to just go home. Brother, you are the mayor of Chicago who is trying to get the Bears to stay in Chicago, and you're talking about leaving a playoff game. He wasn't asked if he was there. He brought it up on his own. It absolutely blew my mind that the guy that's trying to get the Bears to stay in Chicago with the last second move he pulled last week on Sunday with the last session in the spring session to get a bill passed for the Bears to stay in Illinois, he's talking openly, yeah, I left the Bears playoff game when they were losing. I didn't care. I mean, you're talking about the first playoff game in 5 years. You're talking about the first Bears playoff victory in 15 years, and you're talking you left at halftime because you thought the game was over. Pathetic. It's an absolute sick joke. The governors, we don't need to get deep in politics, but there's a reason that's one of the worst states to live in financially. They don't have their shit together. It's insane how a state of Indiana can come in, not the Bears, they're called the Chicago Bears, but a state like Indiana can come in and get a bill together in a month. And here you go, Bears. Here's everything you want on a silver platter that you can come over here. The fact that the Chicago governors, mayors, politicians, you name it, have been doing this this has been going on for 3 years now. They can't figure something out for the Chicago Bears is insanity to me.
They got bigger issues to worry about.
Yeah, whatever. It's starting to get nauseating. Like, and not that I'm a fan of Pritzker, but his whole big ideal is to one day run for the president of the United States. I'll tell you what, buddy, if you lose the Chicago Bears to Indiana, you can wrap up your presidential run, because that is the biggest failure. That is the biggest failure if you can't keep the Bears in Illinois. The biggest
Devil's
failure.
advocate would say that he's looking out for his constituents and that he's doing the right thing for the people. So he would make a great candidate. But let's don't get into that.
I mean, we can get into
Not
it.
that No.
Let's get into it. Oh, the taxpayers. They're going to have to pay. We already get screwed by taxes. What's a little bit more going to do? What's a little bit more? But it's honestly though, just in all reality, it's starting to get nauseating that they can't figure out a way to keep the Bears in Illinois. Point blank, period. It's nauseating.
I don't.
And the big problem, the big problem is too, the government wants it to be publicly owned. The Bears want it to be privately owned, like most NFL stadiums are.
All right, then there's your point. If you want it to be privately owned, then pay for it privately.
And they will. They won't give them they don't want them to own the stadium. They don't. That's the problem. No.
They want taxpayer dollars though to help them.
Yeah, they want tax certainty on their stadium, 100%. Because guess what, Dad? Hold on. Let's get into this a little bit.
No.
Why do they want tax certainty? Because guess what? Every new stadium that's been built in the past decade has tax certainty. You're talking about the Chicago Bears. We're not talking about the Chicago White Sox or the Blackhawks. We're talking about, if you go poll the state of Illinois, hey, if you had to pick one sports team that is the main sports team in the state of Illinois, it's coming back to Chicago Bears as the favorite.
It could be the Chicago Fire.
Yeah, it could be, yeah. Like they
do have their own stadium
over here. Yeah. It's honestly sickening though. Like, they need to figure it out. You know, I was all for Arlington Heights, but honestly, I'm starting to sway. I want it to go back to Chicago, but with the way the mayor's acting, it's honestly just a bunch of bull crap, and it's driving me up a wall. But
it is what it is.
And honestly, at this point, if I'm the Bears, I would just put up your middle finger and walk over to Indiana and be like, all right, we gave you plenty of chances, because they have. I mean, at this point, the Illinois politicians, they don't give a rat's ass about the Bears, which is honest. It's sad. It's sad. And it just honestly, it's starting to drive me up a wall. It's not good. It's what happens when I get wrapped up in all this political crap. I start going off the deep end. The Bears are getting me off the deep end because it's driving me insane, man.
Nah, there's bigger things to worry about.
But that's a little stadium update. I don't have all the details. I don't know everything, but it's just insane that they can't get anything figured out. But I do you have any thoughts? Do you care? Do you want to, for the 100th time, talk about where you hope the Bears end up?
Yeah, I would like to see him stay in Chicago. I think it's somehow if they could be on the lakefront, there's something special about when you go to a Bears game. We've been to a few stadiums, right? I mean, we've ventured out of state. We went to a few different stadiums around the league. There's something about downtown Chicago being on the lakefront. I mean, you've been there yourself for playoff games. You've been there for regular season games. You went to the Bengals game last year. Not a cool environment compared to where the Bears are.
It's honestly not even like. Yeah. It's just not like the Chicago. Obviously, is one of the biggest cities. It's one of the biggest sports marketing places, but it is that for a reason. I mean, the atmosphere that you get at these games, the tailgating experience, the walking the city to get into the game, walking through Grant Park, just all of that stuff.
You're not going to get that in Arlington Heights.
It is.
You're not going to get that down in wherever in Indiana, the marshlands, former landfill. I don't even know. That area is – I don't know if you've ever been to that area before.
I have, but I will say, though, a lot of people I'm a big CHGO watcher, and there's a guy in there, Greg Braggs. He's actually from what they call the region, which is Hammond, Indiana, where they're going to be building the new stadium. And it is honestly, though, sad, a little bit of the disrespect that is getting thrown their way. He brought up a very good point that I think is pretty cool. Those factories and those mills out there that create those bad smells in the air that make it bad, they've made metal there to win World War II, which is pretty freaking cool, man. So if the Bears do end up going there, though, they're going to build that atmosphere up. Yeah, granted, it's not going to be downtown Chicago, but they're going to build an atmosphere there where it's respectable and people want to go visit. At the end of the day, this is my whole thing. Obviously, you're the Chicago Bears. You should be in the city or at the bare minimum in the state of Illinois. But if they do go there, it would be Bears fans are going to go regardless. You have people like us that are just, I don't care where they're at. It's the Chicago Bears. I'm going to watch games. The fans will be there, especially if they're winning. That stadium will be sold out just like it is when it's in the city. So regardless of where they end up, obviously I'm in the favor of Chicago, and just know the stadium talk is going to be going on. It's going to lead into the season. The sessions are done. They can call a summer session here in a little bit in the middle of July. If they want to, knowing how this has been going, they might call one. It's going to be a bunch of bull crap like it's already been. Nothing's going to get finalized. And if that doesn't happen, they can meet again in November in the fall session. So it doesn't look like we're at any time soon. Last year, Kevin Warren was saying shovels are in the ground. This year, he promised they would have a deal done come June or end of May. They don't have anything done. It's all a bunch of load of crap. And I honestly do feel bad for Kevin Warren to an extent, because the Arlington Heights crap, our old president, Ted Phillips, is the one that bought that. Well, the McCaskies bought the land, but it was Ted Phillips' idea to go buy that land to build a stadium there. And then they fire him, bring in Kevin Warren. Kevin Warren and McCaskey get together. They want to stay in Chicago. It's a whole cluster mess. And the big thing that wraps all this up of why it's annoying to me is the Bears are finally relevant again. And this is what our offseason is about. It's the stadium, like it has been for the past 3 years. And the past 3 years, it's actually been great to talk about the stadium because it covers up how bad the Bears were. It was a distraction. Now, all of a sudden, when the Bears are good again, we're having to talk about this when we should be talking about how awesome Caleb Williams is and Ben Johnson are. But this is the main focal point when you go scroll social media. It's the stadium crap week in and week out. Oh, here's this new update. Here's this new update. And it's just a bunch of load of crap. And that's where it's annoying as a Bears fan, because, like I said, we shouldn't be having – the Bears are finally relevant again in a respectable team after last season. And this is what we're having to talk about. And it's what we're going to be – the media is going to be talking about all leading up to the season.
How interesting would it be, like, you think about the 32 teams in the NFL. Obviously, Montana, Wyoming, there's some states out there that don't have a NFL team. How wild would it be that Illinois does not have an NFL team in a market like that?
That's a crazy
part. But yet Indiana pulls up too.
That's what I'm saying. You have. That's why it's annoying, because how can these other states just put? Granted, yeah, Indiana might be screwing over their taxpayer dollars for the Bears, but at the same time, they're giving the Bears what they want. That's what the Illinois needs to do. Like I get it. I get it to an extent, but at the same time, the majority of Chicago Bears citizens and Illinois people would be all right with it. They would. The fans want the Bears to stay in Chicago. They do.
The fans do, yeah. But how many people who live in the state of Illinois don't? If you live in Springfield, right, or Peoria or Champaign, or
you don't have to worry about it. Yeah,
O'Fallon, or wherever, you're like, I never make it to a Bears game anyways. I don't care where it is. So they'd be like, hey, I don't want my tax dollars going to that. I just think if as a business, right, pony up the cash, do it on your own, pay your taxes afterwards,
Yeah, but it is, though, that is like, I hear what you're saying, but to the extent that Illinois governors they're not even wanting the Bears to privately own their stadiums. They're not wanting that. The majority of these new stadiums that are getting built are privately owned. The Bears, hold on.
I haven't read the fine print. I don't know.
But this is the crazier part. The Bears have offered to pay off everything, like buy out Soldier Field. They won't even let them do that because guess what? They want the money. Like, I get it. They want to make the buck off of it too because they know how good the Bears are. But at the same time, something's got to give. Something has to give. You have to give some sort of the politicians have to give something up. Meet in the middle. They're not even wanting to do that. They want everything in their favor.
I think you're letting your emotions overtake you. Cooler heads will prevail. And like most things in life, just wait 5 minutes and it'll turn out one way or the other.
Yeah, and that's, well, to your point, at the end of the day, the sun will rise the next day. Go
Right.
build the stadium in Illinois, in Chicago. It'll be all right. Everyone's gonna wake up. They're gonna pay their bills, just like you have to. Like, it'll be all right. And guess what? If they don't want to, go move. Plenty of people leave that state. We're an example. I mean, not me, but when I was a kid, you're an example. You left. You were sick of it. That's how. If they really don't want to do and take part in that, and go get up and go somewhere else. Just like plenty of people in today's world. We don't need to go too deep in politics, but literally, go move if you don't like where you're at. Go do it. There's plenty of other places you can go live. Go do it. No one's stopping you. But I think that's a good way to wrap the show up. A little bit of everything today. Caleb Williams, obviously, on the Madden cover, OTA coverage, and the stadium talk that I didn't want to spend more than 10 minutes on, and here we are, spent about a half hour talking about
I think I spent like 5 words on it. You are fired up. You need to go check your blood pressure.
But with OTAs finally back, though I think they got 2 more weeks left of it. They go on a little bit of break, and then they'll have another mini camp, then their longer break, and then training camp will be back. So hopefully get some more episodes in more frequently. It's been a little bit dry with the off-season schedules and everything. But hopefully some more episodes coming here shortly. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share this with your Bears fans out there. Pass the word along. We're at the Bear Talk Show on all social media platforms. If you want to go give us a lookout on there. If you want to hear more of the ramblings of the stadium, you can go check our Twitter. I've replied to plenty of people. You can see some more of the behind the scenes of my thoughts on some of those topics. And then obviously just follow some of our coverage as well. I'm also doing in honor of Caleb Williams on the Madden cover on our Twitter post when the game gets released, which isn't for a while, but I did put out a post out there. I will give away 1 hard copy Xbox or PlayStation for one of our fans out there. All you have to do is go on Twitter. There's a post pinned on there. Just I think you just got to drop us a follow, and tag 3 Bears fans in the comment section below to be eligible for the giveaway. But I will be giving away a standard edition and a deluxe edition of the Caleb Williams Madden cover for one of our fans out there. So make sure to check that out. We appreciate you guys as always. We'll catch you next time. But until then, bear down.